What is up, everyone? We have YouTube and Facebook over here. We have Instagram over here. Robert is finishing up his workout, so it is just me for the moment. Virgil is down there sleeping, so we should be rocking and rolling here soon. Robert is finishing up a workout. If you didn't hear me, Robert's finishing up a workout, and he'll be here in just a moment. So. For now, you're stuck with this space. So today we are talking about how to know when your workout has ended. This is actually a pretty common question of like, how do I know I'm done working out? How do I know that I pushed myself enough and that I should be completed? So on and so forth. So I'm actually going to leave that up to I'm not going to leave it up to Robert, but I'm going to wait till Robert gets in here to start answering that. But hello from Cincinnati. But I don't want to start talking. I want to wait till he's in here, but I don't know. I don't want to really wait. Keto Greg says, "Hey guys, what's up? Do you guys have any questions or concerns in the meantime while we're waiting on Robert to get in here? Let's see, maybe I should just put my 2 cents about the workouts. So for myself personally, I usually have a structure on my workout plan, like what I plan to do, and then I follow that, and usually I'm kaput by the end of that. So I just follow my plan exactly. Now, if you feel like doing extra and you have more time and you feel like you can push yourself more, then I would push myself more. But usually I just follow the plan that I have. And you can like make the plan yourself. You can hire a coach to do to make the plan, or whatever. So that's generally how I learn. But you should be sore. I mean, not sore. You should be fatigued. Goodness. You should be fatigued by the end of your workout. So if you can keep doing more and going hard doing it, you might want to reconsider the weights that you use for the workout that you did do, and maybe go harder next time, maybe go heavier next time if you can, rather than making it longer. A lot of people are like, I was in the gym for 2 hours, and it's like, you can get in a really good workout within 30 minutes. So
I just worked out for 40 minutes.
It's not the length of time that you're spending in the gym. It's the intensity that you're putting out while you're in there. So I would just say, like, when you're starting to feel fatigued, when you're feeling fatigued and you feel like you've pushed yourself, you're exhausted, you're sweating, all of those things, that's when your workout can be completed. But, try to follow somewhat of a plan or a structure, and then push yourself within that, so your workouts aren't like lasting forever. Would you like to talk now? Gosh, he wants all of the attention.
I only did deadlifts, and I did pull downs. So I'm gonna do back again on Friday or something. But yeah, I just worked out. I realized that it was 4:14, and we had a live at 5, which means I started my workout late, and I did 2 exercises, 4 sets of lat pull downs, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sets of deadlift. And it feels great, much better than had I not done anything. So don't let time be a limiting factor. But my client actually asked this question, and I'm sure Crystal probably covered it because she's a beast, and most of my wisdom I get through her. Actually, honestly, when it comes to training, Crystal's pretty much phenomenal. She reads all the books. She dives into the research. She knows more exercise names than me. I'll just say, yeah, do this, stick your butt up this way, make sure you're feeling it in your tricep. And she's like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's the one. So she's a wizard. But yes, when it comes to training with keto, but honestly with any diet, You don't want to train so frequently that you don't allow your body time to replenish muscle glycogen, which your body can fully do without carbohydrates because you don't use as much muscle glycogen. But one thing I've noticed is that if you're doing multiple training frequencies in a day, that kind of it's harder from a muscle glycogen replenishment standpoint. So like if you're doing 2 days or 3 days, that's going to be a lot more taxing than one really good time a day. So I would always emphasize one really good intense training session a day as opposed to multiple half-ass training sessions. Did you say anything? We need to cover that more.
I think that was good.
All right.
Still have the baby glow going. Well, thank you.
That's probably just a sheen from my sweat from the deadlifts, honestly, but thank you.
Looking great. How's the baby? He is wonderful. He is on the, well, he's not on the floor. He's in a bassinet, sleeping away. Do you do reps or until you can't do anymore? So I usually do reps, but sometimes like at the end of an exercise or a workout, we can do like drop sets. But a lot of times, like here lately, I've been really trying to get my strength back in the gym. And so I will like say my last set has 8 reps. I will do a heavier weight for that set. And if I can only get 6 with that weight, then I do 6 with that weight, and then I do more with the lighter weight, if that makes sense. So complete as many as you can, like have a goal of like 8 or whatever your goal is for for that set. And then if you can't hit it with that weight, then drop the weight and do more of that exercise. So I try to hit my goal, but if I can push more, then I will.
Shannon Bailey said, "How's your dad?" How's your dad?
He's great.
You're doing your finger.
Yeah, he's doing great. He's doing wonderful.
Hey, Crystal. Hey, Robert. I hope your week is going well. I hope your week is going well. Iris.
Thoughts on bloating and gas when trying to add veggies back after strict carnivore? I feel miserable. It's probably because that's what vegetables do.
Yeah, there's multiple trains of thought on this. Some people are under the impression that when you go strict carnivore, you just become almost hyper aware, hypersensitive to any bloat and GI discomfort. So like if you've never been carnivore and you're normally eating veggies, you don't really notice as much because it's just like the norm. And then you go carnivore, you bypass all the bloat and GI discomfort as it relates to that excess fiber, and then you really realize it when you introduce it back. Some people say that you have to build up a tolerance to the veggies slowly once you reintroduce them. Here's my take on it. Anytime you drastically change your food source, you're going to change your gut microbiome. So if you go carnivore, then you bring fiber back in. When you eat fiber, it has to ferment in your gut. Like that's just how it works. That's why you're having bloating and discomfort. Now, if you go carnivore for quite some time, a lot of those bacteria, the gut microbiome that is contributing to that fiber fermentation, is not really going to be in there in as great a quantity as it was when you were eating more fiber. So you got to almost basically replenish that, the gut microbiome that contribute to that fermentation process. And that may take a while, usually a few weeks up to like a month or so. But yeah, it's kind of just a choice. You have to decide whether that's worth your time or not. Some people just say, screw the veggies and don't have them.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I push myself more, but the next day I'm extra sore where it keeps me doing a workout keeps me from doing a workout the next day. So we try to separate our exercises enough so that if my back is sore, I can still do my arm day. I can still do a chest day. I can, if my shoulders are sore, I can still do a leg day. I can still do a back day. So try to separate your workouts enough so that if one body part is sore, you can easily do another body part. It may not work out if you're doing like full body exercises, where that might actually be worth your while to switch to breaking up your exercises.
Not directly related, but roughly how long should I do a mini cut? I don't have a desire to cut down a drastic amount, but just develop a slightly leaner physique that's sustainable. So I don't really like mini cuts. If you're going to do a mini cut, then I would probably say 6 weeks or so, 8 weeks maybe. But the thing about mini cuts is that you're kind of in purgatory. Like if you're doing a mini cut, you're not really making the most of your building phase because you're having a period where you're not building optimally because you'll be in a deficit for the mini cut, but you're also not really optimizing for your cutting phase. So I would recommend people just have a cleaner building phase in which you don't feel like you have to do a drastic mini cut. That'd be my personal recommendation there.
Sunny says my workout is over when the keto brick crew flies in.
Yep.
What's good, Savages? What is your take on HIIT or heavy duty training? You're on some of my hair.
Sorry. I'm more a fan of the heavy duty training. I always default to more intensity. Like I like more intensity. There could be all kinds of studies that come out that say, hey, look, don't do intensity. You're going to risk your injury. It's not optimal for muscle growth, yada, yada, yada. And I would still go the intensity route because I like training with intensity. I like leaving the gym knowing that I pretty much went all out.
I feel better if I leave a few in the tank on every set versus I normally go to failure and the next day extra sore and leave a couple the next day is much better.
Yeah, there's no need to go to failure on every set. I like going to failure on my final sets of a given exercise.
Yeah, or like even your compound lifts. Like that's a good choice there.
Yeah, so like for instance, I just did deadlift, right? I did conventional deadlift. Last week I did deadlift, and I went for absolute failure in which I couldn't do another rep, and I was going harder, faster, and a little bit sloppier towards the end. Not really sloppy at all, but a little bit sloppier. And I got like 18 reps or so of 405 at my final set. Today I did 405, and I only did 8 reps. But my goal was to make it absolutely flawless. Like I wanted my 405 for these 8 reps to look as if it was 135. So depending on your mood, you can have a different type of intensity. You can really focus on just like premier form and technique and function. And there's times where it makes more sense to just get a little sloppier and go all out on it, turn into an animal. And I like those days too. So a lot of it's going to depend on what are you feeling that day. And what's going to bode best for just your training vibe. Is he awake still? Or asleep still?
How much time between sets do you have? Just a pause, 30 seconds or more. New to this, sorry. So I think the average rest period is like 60 to 90 seconds. But I would say we do enough to where we're supersetting our exercises. So if I'm doing biceps and triceps together, I will do a bicep curl and then I'll go and do tricep extension, but I'll go right back and do my bicep curl and then I'll go right back and do my tricep extension. If I'm doing just one exercise like bench press or something like that, and I'm doing it by myself, then usually when I do the exercise, I will then have to change the weights. And by the time I'm done changing the weights, I might need 10 more seconds to just catch my breath, and then I can go back to it. So I don't know, probably somewhere between 30 and 60 seconds, but I'm not just standing around looking at my phone. I'm actually like trying to catch my breath and get my breathing, solid, and then giving your body just enough time to recover from that set where you are ready to go back again. So I would say between 30 and 60 seconds is very fair.
And you ask a powerlifter that same question, and they're going to stop, take all their gear off, eat some gummy bears.
It does depend on what you're training for, but
yeah.
I think you're just talking about specifically just regular workouts. But powerlifters are also only doing, 3 reps, 5 reps. They're doing lower reps, but super, super heavy weights. So they take several minutes to recover and get back to it.
Yeah.
I do separate them, but mentally I'm out of it too when going overboard. Yeah, that's a big thing. Like if you're mentally exhausted and you're not putting your all into it, there's no point in doing it unless you're just going through the motions just to get your workout in. Sometimes I have to do that. But yeah, I'd say say, yeah, if you're not in it, then, you'd be done for the day. Thanks, Rob.
You bet, brother.
I go to failure unless it's a warm-up set.
Yeah. You don't go to failure on the warm-up set. You'd be doing that. Wait for reps and reps and reps and reps. I count all my sets. Like some people don't count warm-up sets. I'm counting it, but I'm not really tracking like my volume. Like I'm not using an app. I've played around with so many different apps, and I've asked so many people what their thoughts of different apps are for tracking training load, volume, PRs, RPEs, max calculators, all that stuff. And I just don't really like using apps. I'm pretty intuitive and instinctive with the training. Steal this chair. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. What do you recommend for extra adiposity around the lower waist abdomen? Abdominal. All right, so here's a great question. I actually get this one quite a lot. Nobody wants to have a hefty midsection. Nobody wants to have a little extra jiggle on their booty. But you cannot spot train fat loss. You just can't. And honestly, your lower back, your midsection, your upper legs, and your butt are always going to be the last area to lean out. Almost always. Like there are a few people who lean out faster in those spots, but look at the general population. Those are going to be the last places that they lean out. The reason being, probably a few different reasons being, one, around the midsection area, that's where all your organs are. So from a protective mechanism, it makes sense to have more fat around your organs, especially like ice age times. You want to have more fat around your organs. You're getting attacked by a saber-toothed tiger, probably want to have a little bit more padding and cushion there in case they are coming after you. But you can't spot train fat loss. So you just have to lose total body fat, and then that will be the last area that likely leans out. Whenever I'm doing a competition prep, I always lean out first to my extremities. My forearms lean out, my face leans out, my calves lean out. Then it goes to my arms, my biceps, triceps, my shoulders, my chest, then my upper legs, hamstrings, then finally lower back, butt, and midsection. That's just kind of the way it works. What other questions we got here? I think he's wearing the same outfit as last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, when he poops on himself, I have to change his outfit. And then he gets whatever outfit is in his diaper bag. So, sorry, he was just wearing the same outfit.
We got any other questions? Y'all, I thought we get more engagement. We got Rigel in the picture. Come on, Rigel. Shake your money maker. All right, golly. But I will say this though, I'm always trying to change my training up, figure out what's better, and I kind of like that. Because Wednesdays are our craziest days. We got the live at 5. We have a meeting after these. It's just super busy, so I'm kind of playing with the idea of just doing deadlifts on Wednesday, and then doing all my other back movements with my shoulders on Friday, so that I can just really target shoulders and other back movements on Friday, and then just focus on deadlifts on Wednesday with my limited time.
About how many sets do you go for? I think normally around 4. Yeah.
4 to 5.
4 to 5, but then with compound movements, it can be like
7,
8. Yeah. Okay.
You doing the hike? Are you adding ruck to your jam or primary ruck? Yeah, so I'm doing the 50-mile march. I don't have a weighted ruck per se, but I have been wearing one of those water bladders with like just some stuff in there, like keys, wallet, phone, socks, all that good stuff. Getting my feet conditioned.
So you don't have any tips other than patience for adiposity around the waist?
Yeah, I mean, there's like if you go online, you're gonna find all kinds of tips. You're gonna find waist trainers. You're gonna find pills and potions and fat burning supplements, and do fasted cardio and sit in a sauna with a sweatsuit. Like you're gonna find all kinds of things that say this is guaranteed to burn fat around your midsection. That's just not the way it works. Like it's just not.
It is a bummer too. I mean, like that is just the way it works. It also depends on hormones as well. Like women naturally have more fat around their hips, their midsection, and their triceps. Like depends on your body, your hormones, all of that kind of stuff. But as far as like wanting to get rid of fat in a certain spot, you can't spot check, like you can't get rid of fat in certain areas. And then training that area, like if you were to go do a bunch of core exercises, that's great, but you're never going to train away the fat in that specific area by doing core exercises.
Now you can build more abdominal muscle tissue.
Yes, which will give you a different shape, which is great.
Which kind of is a nice segue to this next question, which is thoughts on not training abs to prevent a thick waist when wanting an hourglass.
I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, here's the thing, y'all.
People say this stuff all the time. There's certain things that you can do to make you have certain figures. That's why CrossFitters are, generally speaking, more square looking. Whereas a bodybuilder, they work on their physique for certain things, so they have a smaller waist. But I wouldn't not train your abs. I would definitely train your core. That's so important. It's the most important thing to train is your core, because you use your core for every movement that you will ever do in the gym. And if you're not using your core, you're not doing those movements correctly.
And training your core doesn't necessarily mean you got to do a bunch of sit-ups.
Right.
You're training your core when you're bracing yourself properly for heavy deadlifts and heavy squats. That's all working and engaging your core. That said, a lot of people say don't do heavy squats, don't wear a lifting belt, don't do stuff like that, because that's going to make your waist blocky as well. And I just don't really buy into that. I mean, when it comes to shape, you're much better off building the areas that you want to build to elicit the shape, symmetry, and proportions you're looking for than trying to accomplish it by not building certain areas.
Example, on arms and shoulders, how many sets would you aim for? About 4.
Yeah, and arms and shoulders, I'll typically do a little bit higher rep range, a little bit more volume. For me, those tend to respond higher to like the 12 to 15 rep range, so like the 6 to 8.
Sets is 4.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on training with a hernia? Mine is small, but trying to prevent further injury. So I've actually definitely convinced 2 people to go have surgery on their hernias. Because it can be dangerous. I'm sure you've probably already spoken to a physician about it, and that's totally fine. But I would talk to your physician about exercises to do, exercises to avoid. Depends on where it's at too. Is it an umbilical? Is it more near your sphincter area? It kind of just depends on where it's at, and you said it's small, but what is the potential that it could get worse? So I would definitely just talk to your physician and take what they have to say, and then also go with how you feel. But as far as advice, I would feel wrong giving advice because I'm not a medical professional. What about you?
One of the guys I work out with that owns the gym down the road from me, he actually just had a hernia. And he worked out with it, but he didn't do a lot of squats and stuff. He had it fixed, but he wasn't doing a whole bunch of really heavy squats during that time, because anything that where you're bracing your core really heavily like that, like squats or deadlifts, that's going to just add additional pressure there.
Yeah.
Here we go. There's some over here. Okay. Tips to maintain muscle while training for a half marathon.
Resistance training.
Yeah, and just be keto adapted. I mean, with a half marathon, you're not going to become incredibly catabolic. I mean, a half marathon is what, 13 miles, something like that, 13.4 miles, something like that. You're not going to have a muscle wasting phenomenon occur in the course it takes you to run that distance. Now, if you're running, if you're training for a 200-mile race across the Badlands in the desert, then you're putting in a ton of miles every single week. Then you got to kind of address how do you maintain lean muscle tissue without becoming catabolic. But for a half marathon, that distance, as long as you're fat adapted, you're producing ketones and you're eating enough food, you should be totally fine.
I seen power lift don't work on core because their normal exercises do that without target core.
Yeah, but look at a lot of those powerlifters that are telling you that
They don't have a tight core.
Yeah, it's not really the physique that you probably are looking for.
Yeah.
You know, most of them are barrel chested, big bellied, and not all of them, but many of them definitely are.
You said that your hernia is umbilical, and that is one of the easiest ones to pop out. And the issue with hernias is you can, it can pop out. Some people can pop it back in and out. The problem is if it pops out and you can't get it back in, or you're not seeing a physician about it, it can pretty much strangle that piece of intestine, and that piece of intestine will die, and that is not a good thing. Sorry, my nose itches. So that I would definitely talk to someone who knows, but it is definitely important to get those worked on. Like, I try to do everything as naturally as possible, but at a certain point, sometimes it's worth getting those things fixed.
I normally do 20 to 24 sets for a workout. Is that too many? No. I mean, if you're doing 4 sets of workout, that's going to be 5 or 6 exercises. That's totally fine.
13.1, I think, is the half marathon.
13.1.
Yeah. That's all the questions I have. What do we want to talk about next week, you guys?
Yeah, what are we talking about next week? Any ideas?
Because
we're about to have a crying baby on our hands.
We're about to have a meltdown.
Meltdown.
I know what just that.
Real quick, y'all, we have got some super exciting news with Keto Break.
We do.
But I can't talk about it just yet. But I've got a podcast, I've got a YouTube video, I've got a social media post, I've got a newsletter, I've got all this stuff coming out on Friday at noon Central. So you should definitely tune in and check out what's going down Friday at noon Central for Keto Break. It's not a new flavor launch. But I think y'all will dig it. I'd love to get your feedback on it, so let me know what you think as soon as you know what it is on Friday. Keto ratios for mental health. That's a good one. Oh, this is for topic for next week. How to end a cut, or when to end a cut, rather. That would be a good one. Let's do that. Keto ratios for mental health, and then we'll also talk how to end a cut. Good question, Sonny. All right. Ready to rock, baby?
Ready to rock.
All right. Catch y'all later. Ta-ta for now. Toodaloo. Hasta la vista, baby.
See ya.
See ya.